there everyone, my name's Andrew and this is Canadian Starships. Wonderfest is just around the corner and I want something I can give away. So let's make that happen. That's right, Wonderfest is just around the corner in just a little over the month at the time of recording this video, and I've been thinking that I want to have something I can give away. You see, I'm not just attending, I've got a table in Dealer Room A, and I am there to promote my channel and to connect with everybody I can connect with. I figure if I'm in one spot, everybody's going to be coming by me, so I will get a chance to meet as many people as possible. But I would like to have something at my table that I could give away. So I was thinking, I could have some promotional keychains made up by a promotional company that are some generic keychains with my logo on it, and that would be awesome. But then I got thinking, you know what? I've had this comm badge made. John over at Captain's Dry Dock made this 3D work of my logo for a comm badge, and I got in touch with him and asked him if he would be okay with me making a mold of the master I have, and he said yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to be turning this comm badge into a keychain, so it'll have all of the artwork and graphics on it just as it appears here. We'll put something on the back of it too, and we'll turn it into a wonderful keepsake from Wonderfest from my channel to you. So let's get right at it. But before we get started, why not take a moment and click the subscribe button, and while you're here, click on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. So here are the comm badges. This is the completed comm badge that you just saw on my shirt, and this is very nice. It's got a back piece with two magnets. Two magnets are embedded into the back here, and there's a nice piece of felt over top, and this just clicks on the back. This has been done, it's painted white on the front, which is the white that you see on the C and the S. The edges are painted with red primer, and a leaf decal goes over top of the white. So we're going to be doing the exact same process on the face of these. On the back, I want to put some more items with decals. Not quite sure what's going on there. 100% sure yet, but we will be doing some different things on there. But this is my third badge, which I have not done anything with. I have not painted it because I wanted to keep one in case I needed to make a mold of it. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start by building a simple, this is one I've already used, a simple mold box using plastic core. And we're going to create that. Just going to hot melt glue this together, and that's going to form the basis of our mold box. So let me get this assembled. So I've got the mold box ready to go. So this is just the plastic core and one piece that's been sliced on the side so it goes around the corner. That creates an area that's not going to leak on corners. And then I have glue gunned in the seam onto the bottom part and the one corner that needed to be sealed up. The hot melt glue holds it together and creates a seal so that the silicone will not leak. So moving on to the silicone, we are going to be using, in this particular case, this product, which I got from my local Michaels. If I'm doing large quantities, I do like the smooth on. However, we're just using some locally acquired stuff. This is going to be a 2-part silicone, equal amounts per volume, and I'm going to use some syringes I have a whole box of these things. They come in super handy, and I'm going to use these to measure out the equal parts of the 2 parts of the silicone, and that's going to be mixed together in a cup and then poured into the mold on top of the master. So before we pour in the silicone, we have to place the master inside, and this is going to be going CS side up, since that is the part that we want to have the good side up on the mold. So this has to be held into place with something. So in this particular case, it's not how I always do it, but in this particular case, I've put double-sided tape down on the inside, which is just Scotch 3M double-sided tape. And that's going to allow me to place this inside. So I'm going to place this inside, roughly equal distance from the walls all the way around. And I'm going to push that down so that it gets a good connection with the double-sided tape inside. let's mix up some silicone. All right, I've got the silicone measured out. I am gonna mix this up, and I'm gonna try to do this on camera so you can see exactly the process. So you've got your 2-part silicone measured out by volume, and you want to fully mix it together. You want to make sure that the color that you get when you mix it together, again, this is a little hard to show on camera, the color is all even, so you don't have any streaks of the white or the red. And then you want to scrape the sides to make sure that you're getting all of the different parts of the silicone. Then once that looks pretty good, I'm going to start pouring it in. Hopefully you're going to be able to see. Let me get this little guy out of the way. And I like to pour a very thin strand in, because that's going to help to get rid of any bubbles as it's being poured in. Now, bubbles will come to the surface and kind of make their way out of the mold, but anything I can do to help that process along is a good thing. So we're just allowing this to cover very slowly, not forcing it anywhere. There we go. And I've already made a few of these already, so I kind of have a good idea how much of this I needed to make. So I pretty much got the volume I need for these particular molds down now. So I'm just going to scrape out the extra, and I apologize if you can't really see well on camera. There we go. Get as much of it out of the cup as possible so that we give it as much coverage on top of that master as possible with the silicone we've mixed up. I'm just going to try to get the last little bit out here. There we go. Now, what's left in the cup is going to be my witness cup here. So I will know that the mold is ready when the remaining silicone in the cup has completely cured. So we're going to let that sit. Oh, I spilled some. Don't worry, that's going to cure, and I'll just be able to peel that right off. So this is going to sit, this is going to set. It takes about half an hour for it to set, and then I like to leave it for a while longer before I demold, just to make it that little bit extra secure before I tear out the master from the mold. Mold looks like it's pretty good, and the witness cup, if I just pull this, all that pulls right out. So that's a really good sign that this is ready to demold. So I'm just going to open this up, and since it was just put together with the hot melt glue, it's very easy to pull this off. I can use this again, and I will separate out the silicone from the base of the mold box. Now, it can be a little tricky to pull this out, and I'm getting my thumb in underneath, just doing this by feel, but there we go. It's pulled out. I won't be able to use the tape again. Something I won't be able to do. Now on this, I need to clean this up because there is a little bit of silicone that gets in underneath even with taping in. And what I do for that is I'll just go through and I'll start at one spot. I'll pull it and I will trim it with the item still, and you can see how that cleans up the edge really nice. So I'll just go along, kind of just, I don't have to do too much work on it. It just cleans it up nicely. So I'm going to go around, clean this up, and then we'll pull the item out of the mold. That's been all trimmed up. Now we're going to demold the master. And there's some fine spots, so I'll just be gentle, and there we go. One fine looking mask. Mask? I mean mold. Huh. Getting my words mixed up. And I've got a few more. In fact, so far I've got 2, 4, 6, 7 of those. And I'd like to have as many as I can because I want to process and make probably about 100 of these or more for the show. So I'm going to make a few more of these, but I'm going to get a test shot of resin into one of these and see how it works. I've done my test shot with the resin and let it cure and pulled it out of the mold. I apologize, I did not do that on camera, but working with the resin is tricky and is not necessarily conducive to working on camera with it. So I've gone ahead and done that, and I've got a really nice pull from the mold on the test shot. Now, this is the good side, which had the silicone poured on top of it, and this was an open face. Let me grab one of these molds here. So it was an open face mold. So that means that the back, although it's really nice and shiny and clean, it's domed up because I want to make sure that it was fully thick, the full thickness of the part. So I'm going to put that onto the belt sander and sand that down flat before priming the entire piece. And I think what I'm going to do for the purposes of this video is just get this. I'll use this as the prototype and get this done to show you how everything is going to happen and look. And then I will get on to the sort of mass production of these after. A little bit more progress to show you with these products. The test shot has been sanded down, so the back of it is nice and flat, and it's received its coat of adhesion promoter on there. So that is just going to be set aside so that it can fully cure up. And I have 7 molds done. So since the test shot came out really well, I've gone ahead and run resin in the 7 molds that I have done. And I have an 8th in the mold box curing up right now. I do have a bunch of extra resin in the cup. I had to guess as far as how much I needed. And although I had too much for 7, that's probably a good amount for 10 of these, which is what I'm hoping to have. So I can run 10 at a time. Our prototype has white paint on the front. Now it's not perfect, but there will be a decal going over top of this. And the back is still clear, minus some overspray that I got on there. The back and sides are going to be painted with red primer, which means the front needs to be masked. So I know you're not going to be able to see this, but I've cut some maple leaf masks. I went in and used actually the masking file that John at Captain's Dry Dock used to cut the felt backing on the com badge version of this. He sent that to me. I downsized it, went in and I traced around the inside edge to bring that down smaller, and that will go on top of here so that there'll be a little bit of red on the top surface around the edges because we don't want any of this white to show past the decal. And then we will have the sides and the back red. Now, let me show you what I'm using for decals on this. Now, this is not a decal sheet. This is the test printout sheet. So we've got our logo face. It's going to go on the front. That's why we've got the white on the front. The white paint will be the white of the CS, and the white will allow the red to show really nicely on the front surface. Then on the back, we're going with a QR code, and if you were to scan that QR code, that would take you right to my YouTube channel, and we'll have Canadian Starships across the bottom. Now, I've tested this. The reason I did a paper printout of this was because I wanted to make sure that this QR code worked properly because it is so small. I wanted to make sure it wasn't too small for a phone to scan, and it is just big enough to scan, but I'll have to see how that actually scans when it is on the red paint on the back. And if it doesn't want to scan nicely when it's on the red paint, then I will print the QR codes out on white decal paper, and we'll just trim it up really nicely so it looks good. That way the QR code will have that white backing. That's one thing that we'll just have to do and see how that turns out, what it looks like. You can see I've made a lot of progress. I've got about 54 of these right now, including the ones that are currently in the molds. They're mostly solid. They just need a couple more hours to fully cure before I pull them out of the molds. Now this is the test shot that I did, and you can see how bad the red is on the back. Now this was a different type of resin than I've used here, and I'm just wondering if there was an issue with it. So rather than dealing with that, I have just decided to go from scratch. So I've brought this one up to the same state as where I was at on the last one, and actually it's turned out much better. Now this might have happened because we've had terrible weather, incredibly humid and rainy, and that might have caused some problems with the paint, but this looks so much better. Even the white side looks much better. So the red side is done, the white side is done. I'm probably just going to take some of the red paint into a little cup and brush it along the sides here just to clean that up, and a little bit just on the top edge around here so that you don't see any white when the decal goes on. So I'm going to get that little bit of hand painting done, and then I've got to coat it with gloss so that the decals will go on nicely. So looking pretty good so far on this second go, and yeah, making progress. I've got this down to the point where I can make about 3 batches of 10, so 30 total in 2 days. They take about 14 to 15 hours to fully cure before I can pull them from the molds. So you can tell, thinking about painting, calling the molds masks, but about 14-15 hours between shots of resin. So it's coming along slowly, but it's coming along. Here's our current prototype, and you can see there's white on this side, and there is white on this side too, with the edges painted red. I've reworked this again, and what I've done is, obviously this side is white so that when the decal goes over, it's nice and textured with the graphic art. But I got thinking it would look a lot nicer if I could do the same thing, just reversed, on the back. So I had to go back into my artwork and basically redo it because I didn't have a copy that didn't have a cutout in it for the CS. And I've done this, and I've ditched the idea of the QR code because it was just going to be too small. And I've just put the youtube.com/Canadian Starships on the back, which should work quite nicely. So I think this is actually going to look so much nicer having the graphic artwork on both sides. Hence why both sides have been done in white. So both sides have received the gloss coat, and this should be pretty much ready to receive the decals. So I'm just about to pour my 100th maple leaf, and I have the prototype, apart from adding the keychain, all complete. Now the decal on the back here came up just a little bit short, so I am going to adjust that in the artwork so that it covers just a little bit more down here. Not sure what caused that, but this is, I would say, a fairly successful prototype, and I like just the white lettering on the back with the YouTube channel, and it looks really good in person. So I need to take my prototype and replicate that at least 100 more times, but I'll get the keychain on it so that you can see the final product. And here we have it, the final completed prototype keychain for the Canadian Starships logo. I think it's turned out really well. There are some adjustments that are going to be made for the remaining keychains that have to be made, and I've got over 100 of them that I'm planning to make. But even this prototype, I think, looks pretty cool. So make sure that if you're coming to Wonderfest, you come by my table in room A, you find me, you say hello, and you can pick up for yourself one of these little keepsake keychains. I'm not sure how practical they actually will be as a keychain, having all these little pointy bits in your pocket. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a cool kind of keepsake to have from Wonderfest. So stop by the table, pick yours up while quantities last. But that's going to be it for me on this video. If you've enjoyed it, please make sure that you hit that like button. If you're new to my channel or haven't done so yet, why not hit that subscribe button today? You'll make me very happy if you do. But for now, my name is Andrew, and this is Canadian Starships. Have a great day, everyone, and see you at Wonderfest.